This science fiction story begins by showing some astronauts who were sitting in their spaceship and researching the Alio comet. This was a comet that appeared once every 70 years. The astronauts had to go very close to this comet for their research. As they got closer to the comet, they noticed something large nearby. None of the astronauts could figure out whether it was a large asteroid or just a huge rock. As they got closer, they realized that it was actually a very large spaceship that was orbiting the universe in this manner. The astronauts team decided to investigate the spaceship and find out what was inside. Some astronauts quickly put on spacesuits and entered to conduct the research. The spaceship appeared to be very advanced, with new technology that humans had not yet developed. As they reached the entrance, they saw strange creatures lying dead around them. These creatures seemed to have bat-like bodies, but they were all dead for some unknown reason. As the astronauts ventured further inside, they discovered 3 humanoids that were kept inside a chamber. Finding human-like beings on an abandoned spaceship was not a common occurrence. 2 of the humanoids were male, and 1 was female. Without thinking much, the astronauts decided to bring these humanoids back to their spaceship for research. One by one, they transferred the humanoids onto their spaceship, and the team proceeded with their journey. 5 months had passed since then, but the Space Center on Earth was becoming increasingly concerned. The astronauts who had been sent to research the Alio comet were supposed to return with their spaceship within a few months, but there was no sign of them. The Space Research Organization was unable to establish any contact with the astronauts. Therefore, a rescue mission was launched to find the missing astronauts and spaceship. Another spaceship with astronauts was sent in the same direction to locate them. It took several more months, but eventually, the rescue mission team found the missing spaceship that had disappeared somewhere in space. This was the same spaceship where the astronauts had brought the 3 humanoids. When the rescue team entered the spaceship, they saw that everything inside was completely burned. The bodies of the astronauts aboard were dried up as if all their blood had been drained. The communication system of the spaceship was completely damaged, so they couldn't contact Earth. As they went further into the spaceship, the rescue astronauts encountered the 3 humanoids that the previous astronauts had brought aboard. The astronauts began to feel that these humanoids should be taken to their Space Research Organization, so they made the same mistake and took the 3 humanoids with them. They brought them to a nearby Space Research Organization. The scientists believed that these were normal humanoids who might have gotten lost in space. So, they decided to place them in separate chambers for investigation. As one of the scientists went to examine the female humanoid in her chamber, she suddenly regained consciousness. She stood up and approached the scientist, touching him in a strange manner. But as soon as she touched him, the scientist's body began to dry up, just like the astronauts' bodies had done on the spaceship. In no time, the humanoid killed the scientist completely. A soldier named Bax, who had been watching all of this through CCTV cameras, rushed to the chamber to try and help, but by then, it was too late. The female humanoid continued to kill anyone who came near her and was making her way out of the building. It seemed that she had now become completely free and was wandering on Earth, unnoticed. News spread quickly among the people and the media that a dangerous alien had arrived on Earth, looking exactly like a human. Due to the dangerous humanoid roaming freely, a case is assigned to an officer named Ken, who is tasked with capturing and eliminating the humanoid as soon as possible. Ken goes directly to interrogate the scientists, who might know something about the situation. Upon questioning, Ken learns that the humanoids were found in a strange spaceship, where bat-like creatures were discovered dead. It is believed that the humanoids possess similar properties to those creatures. They survive by draining the energy and blood of other humans, which gives them power and makes them stronger. Back at the research center, the other 2 humanoids, who had been sleeping, awaken and begin causing chaos. Despite attacks from many soldiers, the 2 humanoids manage to kill them all and escape the facility. Ken then meets with his senior officer, Falada, who takes him to the scientist's room where the female humanoid had drained his entire energy. The scientist's body was now just a shell, with only bones remaining, as if all his blood had been drained. When another doctor examines the body, the scientist suddenly revives, and his body begins to draw the doctor towards him. In an instant, the scientist starts absorbing the doctor's energy, draining his blood and strength. It becomes clear that the scientist now has the same abilities as the humanoids, able to absorb others' energy to survive. The scientist appears to recover, but the doctor is left completely shriveled and drained of life. Ken and Falada are shocked by this discovery. The scientist is immediately captured and put under custody. Ken and Falada discuss that they must find the humanoids, or they will continue to roam, absorbing people's energy. Ken then receives news that a lady in a nearby area has been completely drained of her energy. Journalists are gathered at the scene, so Ken rushes there. Upon investigation, it is revealed that the lady's body has also been completely drained of energy. Ken begins questioning some of the people present at the scene. Ken discovers that the female alien humanoid was responsible for the girl's death, having absorbed all her energy into her body. Ken returns to the headquarters and informs Falada of everything. However, Falada then directs Ken to visit the scientist in the prison, as the scientist has started acting insane. The scientist, who had absorbed the energy, collapses and falls unconscious, causing all the energy he had absorbed to disappear. He then transforms back into a living skeleton, as he had been affected by the humanoid condition and needed energy from other humans to survive. Without it, he is left near death. Meanwhile, in the city, other affected individuals are experiencing the same fate. As they fail to absorb energy from others, they too are dying one by one. Ken realizes that he must find the original 3 humanoids, as they are the main cause of all these disasters. At the same time, senior officers learn that the escape pod from the spaceship has landed on Earth, and inside it is an astronaut named Tom. This is the same spaceship that had brought the humanoids to Earth, and all the astronauts aboard had been killed. Everyone believes that Tom must know what happened on the spaceship, so after treating Tom, he is brought to Falada and the others for questioning to gather crucial information. When asked about what happened on the spaceship, Tom is visibly nervous, thinking no one will believe him. But after persistent questioning, he reveals that the 3 humanoids were actually a species of vampires. When they brought them aboard the spaceship, the vampiric humanoids began attacking the astronauts. As a result, all the astronauts became affected by the same condition. Tom was the only one who managed to survive. As their spaceship was heading toward Earth, Tom realized that he could not let these vampiric humanoids reach Earth and infect the people there. So, in a desperate attempt to stop them, he set the spaceship on fire and escaped in the pod, leaving the ship behind. At the time, he thought it was the only way to stop the vampires from spreading their influence. For the sake of humanity, after providing all the necessary information, Tom is sent to rest. He falls asleep peacefully but is soon haunted by disturbing visions. In his dream, the female alien humanoid sits on his body, draining all his energy. Tom, however, manages to push her off and wakes up in a panic. It turns out he was having a nightmare. Falada and Ken rush to Tom's side to calm him down. Tom begins to feel that his mind is somehow connected to the vampires' minds, as these visions began when he first encountered the humanoids. Falada realizes that Tom is not just having nightmares but is experiencing something much deeper. To understand more, Falada decides to hypnotize Tom, hoping to extract valuable information from him. After fully hypnotizing him, Falada learns that the humanoids, or vampires, have changed their strategy. Instead of killing people, they are now absorbing only half of their energy and then possessing them. Tom reveals that the female alien humanoid has possessed a girl named Ellen and is now using an elderly man named Ned to help her. Tom, connected to the alien's mind, is able to see these events unfold and informs Falada about them. He shares that the alien is manipulating the elderly man to attract Ellen, leading to a situation where Ellen was sent to a mental asylum, a place where many insane prisoners are kept. This discovery leads to the start of an investigation. Meanwhile, back at the Space Research Center, the scientists are shocked as they observe a massive spaceship in space, which turns out to be the same alien ship that had been near the Alio comet. The spaceship is now heading toward Earth, and its intentions are unclear. It is clear that the aliens have a new plan. Dr. Falada, Ken, and Tom head to the mental hospital, where Ellen's body is now under the aliens' control. They are on their way to meet the hospital's head, named Astron, to understand more about what's going on and how to stop the alien humanoids. Tom and Ken continue their investigation and head to the mental hospital where Ellen works. They ask the staff about her, and they quickly provide her location. Upon meeting Ellen, she behaves normally, but Tom senses that the vampire-like entity, the alien humanoid, is still inside her. Tom tries to force the alien entity to reveal itself, and eventually, it does. However, the entity's speed is so fast that it disappears before they can do anything, leaving Ellen unconscious. Now, Tom is determined to find out where the alien entity went. They head to Armstrong, where they inquire about unusual behaviors, and he takes them to the hospital's basement, where a doctor is conducting research. The doctor mentions having special injections that can drain the energy from vampires. Tom, instead of using the injection on the doctor, injects Armstrong, causing him to fall unconscious. Tom realizes that the vampire entity didn't possess the doctor, but Armstrong instead. With Armstrong under its control, the alien humanoid plans to wreak havoc. Tom quickly restrains Armstrong, but the alien entity, now in control of Armstrong's body, starts draining power from him and causing destruction. The doctor uses additional doses of the injection to neutralize the alien humanoid temporarily. However, Ken delivers a devastating update. It appears that the alien humanoid's actions were a deliberate trap, luring them outside the city to allow its male companions to attack the people inside. Meanwhile, the male humanoids spread chaos, absorbing energy from the city's population. Tom and Ken recognize the urgency of the situation and quickly board a helicopter to return to the city. Tom is extremely worried as the scale of destruction grows and the situation becomes more dire. Tom admits to Ken that he made a critical mistake when they first brought the 3 alien humanoids, Linoids, aboard the spaceship, revealing that it was Tom who had accidentally opened the chamber containing the female Linoid. This led to the attack on the astronauts and the subsequent chaos. Ken understands that Tom has at least acknowledged his error, but they both know they now need to find a way to stop the Linoids before they can spread any further. As they arrive in the city, they witness more and more people being infected by the Linoid bites, which turn more individuals into vampires. The number of infected is increasing rapidly, and soon, it will be impossible to save anyone. Tom and Ken meet with the president of the UK, but Tom notices that the president appears to be infected as well. Tom deduces that they can't rely on the authorities in the city and urges Ken that they must head to a military base for help. Upon reaching the military base, they are initially detained because the officers suspect they might be infected too. After confirmation that they are not, they explain the situation. The military is aware of the escalating problem in the city and warns that if the infection spreads further, there will be no stopping it. The only option is to carry out a nuclear strike on the city to contain the spread. Meanwhile, the alien humanoid spaceship continues its approach to Earth, getting closer and closer. It stops above a church in the UK and begins absorbing the energy of the infected people below. The female Linoid is responsible for this energy transfer, making her even more powerful. She is in the church, communicating with her ship telepathically, which Tom learns about due to his mental connection with her. Understanding the danger, Tom decides to confront the female Linoid alone, without informing anyone, in an attempt to stop her. At the same time, Ken learns that Dr. Flader has also become infected. Realizing the urgency of the situation, Ken rushes to the Space Research Center to deal with this new threat. The race against time becomes even more desperate as the Linoid's power grows, and the potential for widespread destruction looms. To kill Fallada, Ken discovered that Fallada had an ancient weapon that could actually be used to kill the vampires. But since Fallada was already infected, he had to be stopped. Ken had the ancient sword with him, and he quickly went to the church where Tom was. Ken had already used the sword to kill the other female alien. Tom also jumped on the female alien to stop her, and by the time Ken handed Tom the sword, Tom quickly killed the female alien. With the death of the female alien, their spaceship's connection was severed, and they could no longer absorb energy. Because the energy had run out, the spaceship of the alien vampires flew back to a distant galaxy. In the end, Tom, Ken, and everyone else had successfully destroyed the vampire aliens. However, they had to sacrifice many lives to do so. This is where our story ends.